Hi, welcome back to Bommarito's Wellness Minute. Today's subject, quinoa. Most people consider quinoa a grain, but it's actually a seed. And quinoa has a full essential set of amino acids, so it's in place of your poultry, your meat, or your fish. It is high fiber. It is so delicious that when you eat it, you just feel so alive, and so I call it my superpower food. The first thing you want to do when you buy quinoa is to rinse it. So usually I rinse it in a strainer, and then I spread it out on a sheet pan overnight and let it dry, and then I put it into my container. You always want to make sure that you use a dry measuring cup for dry goods, and then you use a liquid measuring cup for the water or the liquid. And we're going to measure out 1 cup of quinoa. And in this pan, there's nothing, it's a dry pan, and I'm going to put it on a medium flame. And I'm going to add the quinoa, and I'm going to use a wooden spoon to stir. Now when we stir around in a circle, we're missing the bottom center, so we could have a chance of scorching it. When we're stirring back and forth like this, we're missing the edges, so we could also scorch the quinoa. So what I recommend is you stir in a figure 8, and that way there's getting movement all around without the chance of the quinoa scorching. So there's 2 reasons why we do dry toast the quinoa. One is to give it a better texture and a better flavor with the nuttiness. And the other one is to actually help in the cooking process, because when you dry toast something so intensely, what happens is the surrounding shell just wants to just burst and crack. And then when the liquid goes in, it goes right into that shell, and then you have an individual grain or kernel of rice or quinoa or whatever grain you're toasting. So right now I'm going to keep movement. There's a term in the kitchen that we use, and it's a French word. It is mise en place, and what it means is to put things in place. So before I start to prepare my quinoa, I should have everything already measured out. For example, the water. I should have any desired seasonings around me, so I don't have to go running off. And if you can listen, you're going to hear the crackle. And then we're going to add our liquid. Now, when you add the liquid, it is going to cause some steam, so be careful. Just add it in slowly. But I do want to make a note that if you did want to add a little bit more flavor, maybe you want to get antioxidants in your diet, you could brew a strong green tea or a jasmine tea or a black tea and measure out 2 cups and add that as your liquid. Or you could also make a vegetable stock or a chicken stock and use that instead of the water, and that will impart a really nice flavor. Quinoa comes in white, black, and red, and what I like to do is mix them, blend them all together. So at the crackle, you're going to add in your liquid. And be mindful, because it is going to steam. That is funny. Okay, you're going to add the water. And this is where I would recommend, if you have any dried herbs, a blend of dry herbs, you could add them at this moment, or you can drizzle in your extra virgin olive oil. You can add your salt, your cayenne pepper, your onions, your garlic, whatever you desire to add in there, and you're going to bring it to a boil. So as you can see, the quinoa is at a boil. There's rumbling bubbles all over. We're going to lower it now to a simmer, and at the simmer, you put a lid on it. In 18 minutes on the clock, almost to the second, what happens is the quinoa, all the water is evaporated by the quinoa, and you're left with a little fluffy kernel of quinoa. Okay, so 18 minutes have been up, and what we should have is our quinoa. There's no moisture left in the pan, and we have our nice fluffy kernel, grain, coil of quinoa. It's now ready to be seasoned a little bit further if you'd like. And this is it, like I said, instead of your rice, instead of your pasta, this is your complex carb for the meal. And I'm telling you, when you eat this, you will receive the energy that I think is absolutely wonderful, and I call it my superpower food. Well, our minute's up. Thank you for tuning in to Bommarito's Wellness Minute. I hope you enjoyed the method and learned how to prepare quinoa. We'll see you next time. Mwah.